Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It's Friday, February 4th, 2022. Let's talk about some sensitive matter here that's going to offend some people. I understand that, but from where I sit, it's a free country. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, in a part of my life that doesn't involve YouTube, I represent some people in some divorce cases. And some of my clients have reputations and have assets. They have a lot to lose. Might surprise some people, but sometimes the first day, we know we want to settle the case. I'll reach out to the other party. We want confidentiality. We want certain things that are going to ensure that reputations on our side as well as the other side are protected. That the situation is a win-win. The other side gets what they want. We also get what we want. But sometimes you find out that you're dealing with someone who doesn't get the lay of the land, doesn't quite like the idea of things being a win-win. They're scorched earth. Either it's out of naivete, lack of awareness, lack of understanding, or it's out of mean-spiritedness or some other agenda. Let's talk about Brian Flores. Now, just to understand, I'm 100% in favor, 100% in favor of people of color getting opportunities, not just as head coach, but GM, owner of NFL teams, right? I've long believed that these sports leagues, not just the NFL, but these other sports leagues too, have a built-in bias that doesn't give the same consideration to minority clients as others receive, right? I think it's an absolute farce that more than 50% of the NFL are people of color, but yet the people of color who are head coaches are few and far between. Mike Tomlin for over a decade and Ron Rivera for several years as well. Right? By the way, both of those gentlemen had teams win conference titles and appear in the Super Bowl. Right? Tomlin won a Super Bowl. Well, look, I hear Brian Flores is suing the league. There's a way to go about it that should have been followed, in my opinion. Right now, I want people, and I understand I'm going to get a lot of comments. Please feel free to leave those comments in the comment section of this YouTube video, whether or not you agree with me. But I want people to understand the reputations involved here. Right? I believe when you sue someone who's high profile or you sue an organization, you need to think about the fallout. Now, let's just say the claim that John Elway, arguably the best quarterback in Denver Bronco history, a Hall of Famer, right? I can tell you his college has him on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, right? The other two guys are Jim Plunkett and Andrew Luck, right? This is a guy who was the first pick in the NFL draft, right? Big time reputation. It's my understanding, and please, if I say something that's factually incorrect, let us know about it in the comment section of this video. It's my understanding that as part of Brian Flores' lawsuit, he's making the claim, and it's a serious claim, that John Elway appeared for the interview with Flores disheveled. Right now, let's understand the theory behind the lawsuit. It's that Brian Flores is going through interviews and the teams are not giving him the same consideration that others are getting. So we're supposed to believe that John Elway is showing up disheveled. What does that word mean to you? It means to me that John Elway was out partying someplace, has been drinking, hasn't shaved, is just spending a few hours with Brian Flores, isn't taking the interview seriously. It hints at an alcohol or substance abuse problem, doesn't it? Can we agree that claiming someone is disheveled publicly is less than complimentary? Well, I need to have people read the comments that the participants are making. Here in California, you actually get some degree of immunity when you file a lawsuit in terms of the statements you make in the pleading. Right? It's Civil Code Section 47 for the wonks out there who want to look up statutes. Right? The California Civil Code. I can make really strong statements in a pleading, and you can't base your cause of action on those statements because I have some privilege in bringing this to the court's attention as a plaintiff. Right? But understand, there's a line there. If I start making these statements outside of court, in press conferences, in non-court proceedings, right? It's still privileged if I'm making the statements at a deposition under penalty of perjury. It's still privileged. It's not if I'm just outside talking to the press. That doesn't cut it. So John Elway has quietly started saying, and Google this, that the statements made about him by Brian Flores are defamatory. Folks, that's a key word. Understand, you start making statements about somebody else's reputation that aren't true in an unprivileged environment, you can be sued. Right? Elway's letting people know. Number one, the statements are false. Number two, if Flores makes these statements in some unprivileged environment, Elway might sue him. Now, I want people to think about that carefully. Right? I'm not saying Brian Flores doesn't have a claim against someone, right? He was interviewing with my favorite team, the Giants, right? For the record, it's true. The Giants have not had a black head coach for the entire time I have been a fan of them. Right? That's true. I'm not questioning Flores' claim concerning the Giants. But what I believe, especially younger people, need to think about is whether Flores should have gone public the way he did and should have taken shots against people like John Elway the way he did, with the heavy implications involved with the accusations. Let me go further. You know, loyalty is one of the most important things in life. Right? Many of us don't have patience for people we've given opportunities to who then come back and stab us in the back. Right? I've had clients where we've won court hearings. Then the client has come back later, made ridiculous allegations in an effort to avoid paying me my bill, right, for a victorious court proceeding. And I've just felt, it's one thing with the business side. where you say, well, this is a business transaction and, this guy's trying to keep his money. Okay. But then there's the personal side, right? Wow, I spent my time at a trial or hearing for this dude who doesn't have the integrity to actually honor his side of the bargain. Now here you have to be bothered because someone who gave Flores a job, Bill Belichick, sent Flores some tweets thinking Flores was someone else, right? The tweets were sent in error. And of course, Belichick, who helped Flores get the Miami Dolphins job, right? Belichick basically says, hey, I heard that you crushed it in the interview with the Giants and that you're the guy who's going to get the job. And he thought he was talking to the guy the Giants eventually hired. Right? So, of course, Flores texts him back, finds out that Belichick made a mistake. Belichick apologizes. Now, if there is a short list that Flores has of the people who have helped him in his career, I'm guessing Bill Belichick is on it. Right? Flores was a member of his coaching staff. Right? Flores left the Patriots, obviously highly regarded. Ends up with the Miami Dolphins job. Right? Flores, of course, repays Belichick by filing this suit where we all know about Bill Belichick's text messages to him. Right? Belichick's not accused of conducting a sham interview of Brian Flores. Right? Belichick is just a guy in the league who has friends and who hears things. Right? Belichick used to be the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Right? Under Bill Parcells. Well, to throw Belichick's name in this way is simply shocking, isn't it? I can tell you that there are cases out there where a client and I are so outraged about being outed. We're so outraged that outrageous claims, right? Violence against children. Yes, I've been involved in representing people in cases like that. Have been made, right? The other side seems to think that being outrageous is going to make us come to the table and offer them more money. Folks, I'm just saying, you can believe Brian Flores 100% and still not like the way he went about this. Right? Bill Belichick has been thrown under the bus. You mean to tell me Flores couldn't have filed a complaint saying he heard from a prominent person in the league? Yada, yada, yada. Press could have gotten the complaint. The NFL is not going to file a motion to dismiss because Flores was just head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is a credible individual, was going on interviews. Right? People would have picked up the phone and said, hey, who's this prominent person? Then behind the scenes, Flores could have privately said, hey, it's Bill Belichick. Right? That discretion would have been appreciated. While Flores, of course, would still have had a full and complete opportunity to pursue his claim. Right? Why is John Elway mentioned in his complaint by name? Let's go one step further. Now, earlier in this video, I told you that I'm a Giants fan, have been for years. You can imagine there's some games, especially with recent typical Giants seasons, where we're well out of the playoffs. Right? Well out of the playoffs. And there's some games where you're looking at the guys coming out of college And you're thinking, man, I hope the Giants lose this game. Right? I'd rather get a high number 1 pick than have the Giants win game number 3 or game number 4 of a losing season at the end of the year. Right? 4-13 is 4-13. You're not going to be patting people on the back for that. Now, this isn't just football. You and I know it's baseball. You and I know it's basketball. It's a running joke on sports TV, right? Where they tell you, oh, they won the game. They hurt their draft position. Now, I'm not encouraging people to throw games. But I think longtime football fans know that if your star wide receiver or your star running back is banged up, has a hurtful knee or something like that, if the game's meaningless, you hope the team doesn't play him. You want that star back next year healthy. You understand this game at the end of the season, when you've lost a lot of games already and are out of the playoffs, doesn't have playoff implications. Now, let me just say this. The Miami Dolphins, and I know I've heard Stephen Ross, the owner, is a tough guy. Hard to please. Okay. But the Miami Dolphins gave Brian Flores an opportunity, didn't they? They hired him, didn't they? Wasn't he there for years? Right? They gave him an opportunity. Now, again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Right? Don't flippantly throw into your complaint if you're upset with the way an interview with the Giants went. Don't flippantly throw in the complaint allegations that the Miami Dolphins asked you to tank games. Right, folks? That's, look, if I'm a judge and Brian Flores shows up in front of me and is complaining about the Rooney Rule not being followed to the letter, I'm going to take it seriously. Right? As I've said before here, I don't think people of color have gotten a fair shake. I'm a sympathetic audience. But I got to tell you, if I'm reading his complaint and I see things like this thrown in, I was asked to tank games. Right? I see Hall of Famers thrown in. John Elway showed up disheveled. Right? I see that a guy who hired him is in his complaint by name, as sending him text messages that suggested that someone was already hired for the job that Brian Flores was interviewing for. I'm going to quietly look at Brian Flores and I'm going to understand, oh, this guy wanted to make a media splash, didn't he? Then I'm going to look on the calendar and I'm going to realize that this splash is being made right before the Super Bowl. Right? Let's make the splash as big as possible. Now, I understand there are many of you, and let me hear about it in the comment section here, who feel that if you are being mistreated because of race, you should make the splash loud. You don't owe anybody anything. Right? I'm just telling you that scorched earth approach might not be the most effective. As I've said, I've been involved with cases where we're trying to settle the case. Then suddenly I'm hearing my client is supposed to have engaged in really ridiculous behavior. I'm hearing that what should have been a sit-down settlement conference where we're, trying to make this a win-win, have asset division. We're trying to split up assets and debts, right? We're trying to do so in a way that's 50-50. Let's say I'm ready to do that the first day. And then I'm hearing allegations that my client's disheveled. My client should be arrested. Then, of course, this goes public. I'm just saying I don't have the flexibility to quietly settle the suit, to address the allegations, right? Brian Flores, all I can say is, look, I believe people who haven't been properly treated under the Rooney Rule should enforce their rights. Right? Longtime viewers here know that for years I've run black7777.blogspot.com, where I'm trying to shine a light on situations where people of color have been mistreated by authority figures. Right, folks, I'm a sympathetic audience. But let's just say that this is not the way to go about it. Either have a complaint that protects the identities of the people who didn't do you wrong. Right? What did Bill Belichick do to Brian Flores? Even Flores is not contending that Belichick was involved in some conspiracy to violate the Rooney Rule. Right? Also, honor the environment. Right? I handle divorces, and it's shocking to me when people don't care whether or not their kids hear outrageous claims that necessarily are going to have an impact on the relationship between the parent and child going forward. Right? I can tell you I've had cases where the allegations are so outrageous that we've had to bring in therapists. We've had to consent to the kids being interviewed. I've had cops show up at trial because rather than give us an opportunity to settle the case, we've actually had to go to trial. That's the box Brian Flores has put himself in. Right? Why take a dig at John Elway that way? Why not just say I had an interview with an NFL team and that team's representative did not appear to be seriously interested in the interview. Then in discovery, you could flesh it out. In fact, why not pick up the phone? Maybe this happened. Call the league. Say, look, I'd like an investigation into this. Here's some text messages I received from a head coach of the league that strongly suggests that my interview with the New York Giants was a sham. Shouldn't this have been handled in-house first, without us hearing a lurid tale involving the owner of the Miami Dolphins who had hired Flores, right? The former GM of the Denver Broncos, who's a Hall of Famer. And, of course, the winningest head coach in terms of Super Bowl victories in league history. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours. This is a forum where you get to talk back. I support Brian Flores in trying to enforce his rights. What I don't support is the way this is happening. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Thanks for stopping by.